Fantastic. Mike, are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Gabe is ready in the back, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Glass Half Sports. This is episode number 44, I believe, and
44.
Today is April 14th.
Yes, sir.
We are rolling right along into the year, even though it's still snowing here in Minnesota. When will the winter end?
I think that was the second false spring, so I think we have one more, and then we're out.
I used to worry about when I was a kid. It would snow on Halloween, and we would be done with this shit in February. Yes, we are on late night. Kind of fitting for a late night show. But yeah, and now it just snows all the way through the year. We may have to move the show out of Minnesota at some point, but as of right now, we are coming to you live from NBC Multicast Studios here in the Twin Cities. I am one half of your hosting duties, Nick Huffman, as always, joined by my fantastic co-host, Mike Mensing. How are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. Had to fight the wind blizzard on the way in, but other than that, I'm doing well.
Yeah, man, it is. It's interesting to be, a week into baseball season and us getting a couple inches of snow on the road today, pretty much. It has been a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of playing baseball in Minnesota in April, and it's also part of playing baseball in Minnesota in October, even though we haven't seen that in quite some time.
Yeah, it's almost like we needed a dome.
Interesting.
Odd.
I just want to say to our viewers and listeners out there, make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Notoriety Sports Network. I just want to give Dylan a huge shout out.
Absolutely.
The things that he has done for us and the things that he does over on NSN are second to none.
Once again, congratulations on the over 40K on that page. Me and Mike are up to something big for the draft party. So make sure you tune in next week to catch a little bit of that announcement. This is a live show. So if you want to ask what it is in the show and see if you can guess, during those live comments, we will get to them here during the show. Gabe will put them up on the screen. Mike, what do we have for the folks today?
Yeah, like always, folks, we do have a big show for you. A lot going on with the NBA playoffs. NHL getting to the end of their season, going into their playoffs, so we're going to have to talk about Wild Wolf Watch.
Yes, sir.
MLB season is kicking off, so that's going to be our opening segment today, talking Twins.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a little bit of a weekend review segment. Vikings news.
Ish, combined with them being the start of our mock draft today.
Right, and then our mock draft is going to be our big segment for the day, and that's how we're going to end the show today. So real quick, if you can't catch the show live, you can catch us on MCN 6 late night because we've already exceeded our PG-13 rating.
I've got a potty mouth.
So that's going to be Saturday at 10 p.m. on cable.
As it should be. That's where I like us, right in the middle of late night.
Yes, sir.
As the Adult Swim of Minnesota local cable for sports right here at Glass Half.
Yes, sir. And let's switch it from Adult Swim to family friendly, talking Twins.
Yeah, off to a half decent start-ish, kind of, I guess. We'll talk about the games that were last week to begin the show here. Minnesota Twins go ahead and split with the Seattle Mariners, taking two pretty clunky-looking losses, followed up by two pretty interesting-looking wins, and then some stumbles against the Dodgers here. Mike, what are your thoughts early season on the Minnesota Twins?
I was expecting more, to be honest.
Okay.
I was expecting more run production in the early games against Seattle to put one up in your home opener, season opener.
Yeah.
Against a team that I think is mediocre at best. I don't have a ton of respect for the Seattle Mariners baseball club.
Gotcha.
That was a little frustrating to see. And then we rebound in games 3 and 4, putting up 14 combined runs. And then again, you go into the Dodgers series and lay eggs.
You almost got no hit by Clayton Kershaw.
Almost got no hit. Thank you, Dave Roberts, for making a mistake there, which I truly think that was a mistake.
Definitely a mistake.
But yeah, I mean, just like that, you find yourself at the bottom of the division just 6 games into the season.
I mean, it's tough. You're talking about the majority of their first games being against teams that were 90-plus wins and in the playoffs last year. That's the majority
of April, actually.
Right. So it's going to be tough for them regardless, just because I think, especially with the inexperienced arms that they have in the rotation, that this was going to be the bumpiest part of the season. Now, hopefully, this will be where they will get the majority of their growth from and settle into a nice rhythm as we move through the season here. Was there anything that surprised you or any player that surprised you, I guess, kind of coming out of the first week here?
So I actually have 2 surprise players.
Okay.
One is a good surprise player, and one is a bad surprise player. My surprise player, and I will eat crow on this one, Byron Buxton has started the season on fire.
Oh, out of the one hole.
Out of the one hole. He's got 3 home runs in 6 games. His average leaves something to be desired. He's only
Right.
batting .217 right now. He's flashed the glove a few different times, though.
Guy's got wheels in the outfield.
I actually watched the one the other night where he went deep left center.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like there was a center fielder in baseball that was going to get that ball, and he got under it. And then my flip side player that is played poorly, to say the least, in the first 6 games has got to be Miguel Sano. I believe he's 0-4. Let me check. He's 0-for-19 at the plate in 6 games.
You know what that lends me to believe? Miranda Mania. Like, give me Jose Miranda. That guy can play first base.
Yeah, honestly, I'm getting to be very close with you. You know, you got 9 strikeouts in 19 at bats.
Yeah.
It's ugly over here for Miguel. Say it ain't Sano.
Say it ain't Sano. Well, it never really been Sanoing much about him or his ability to hit. It's been embarrassing. Like, he is the Minnesota Twins equivalent of Cat in 2018. It's just bad, right? Like, you expect more from a guy of his caliber,
Right?
And he just can't give it to you, which is, unfortunate. Jorge Polanco hasn't played too ridiculously well either. I think he's had multiple games where he goes 0-for with multiple strikeouts, and he's supposed to be the most consistent contact hitter outside of Carlos Correa in your top 3, a guy that puts pressure on pitchers early, and he really hasn't been able to perform to standard either. Now, they are playing in 30-degree weather in Minnesota at the beginning of the year, so maybe if they get into an indoor game or into a warmer ballpark where the joints aren't frozen stiff, we'll get to see the bats loosen up a little bit. But once again, I know it's a 162-game season, but with how good the White Sox and the rest of the division is, their division is going to be, and trying to secure what should only be expected as a wild card spot for them to be in the playoffs, you got to play better more consistently.
Right. And I do want to shout out Luis Urias, who's the only player right now batting over 300 through our first 6 games.
Gio Urshela has looked pretty good when he's been available too.
He did look decent. First home run of the Twin season. Congratulations to the new guy coming into Twin Cities and leading us off. Hopefully we're looking at another Bomba squad, but
yep,
it's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's tough. So, I mean, it's been a rough way to go, but how about we do this? So every week, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little segment to our Twins Talker here, and we're going to try to guess what the team MVP is going to be. And how we're going to do that, me and Mike every week are going to give you a player as our top Twin, and we'll kind of tally it up through the roster for the remainder of the year and see based on who you guessed and who I guessed and what the team MVP actually gets voted to be. So, Mike, who was the top Twin for you this last week?
Got to go with Byron Buxton.
Okay. I would actually make an argument here, especially based on expectation, for Gary Sanchez.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm still going to stick with Buxton, but I definitely see where you're going with it.
A guy that in that first game, had it been a 1 degree warmer, hits a walk-off, then he has a grandy later in the week. He looks very comfortable swinging the bat right now, and that's all we really bought him in to do. He needs to catch every couple of days, and then he just needs to be consistent enough as a DH at the plate, and we found that in him, I think, over the first week of the season. I'm going to give it to him for a guy that when we got him, everybody was like, that's a subtraction. It hasn't seemed like that so far. So I think he's earned his keep in that way for sure.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is I just don't have the same excitement that I did a week ago about the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I know it's going to be a very tough road through the month of April, but we really just got to finish April maybe a couple games below 500, so we can kind of tread water until we get to an easier schedule. So let's preview the games that we have upcoming.
Yeah, most definitely. What do we got for the games upcoming here this week, Gabe? There we go. And of course, as always, Mike is living in the past, coming off these 2 games against the Dodgers. For those of you that are listening on Spotify, Mike's face visually is planted in Monday. But we have games upcoming against the Boston Red Sox on the road and then the Kansas City Royals as well, before we will be with you guys again next week. Mike, what are your expectations for pretty much a reset, top of the rotation, and Joe Ryan gets the start on Friday?
I'd like to see Joe Ryan have a better start.
Hey, Tyler, thank you. Tyler says, can't wait for the NFL draft show. Dylan Beek says, you guys got some big stuff in the works for it. We do. So stick around.
We do. Because
next week we're going to let you in on what we've been cooking.
Yes, sir. So like I said, I'd like to see Joe Ryan rebound after his lackluster start the season.
Yep.
Other than that, I'd really like us to split with Boston, and if we could possibly win the series in Kansas City, just a 2-1 win in Kansas City, that'd be absolutely massive. My expectations are a little less than my hopes, though.
Okay. The conclusion I've come to with the Twins, because we were talking about their over-under being 81, I think as we go through this, the baseline for the Twins all season long needs to be, if you've got 6 games, win 4 of them. Like, come out one ahead every week. One more win than you have lost, no matter how you get it. And I mean, the numbers will come for the right players if it's clicking right. But like, if Joe Ryan stays at a 4.5 ERA and racks up, and doesn't rack up a win, but the team gets a win, who really cares, right? Like, it just get it any means necessary when you're kind of trying to grind it out against these tougher teams early in the season, because that'll pay dividends to you. We talked about it with the Wild and Timberwolves down the line. If you do get into a playoff scenario where you're going to have to do the same thing, you're going to have to grind out some wins. So I would say split with Boston, yeah. And I would do your damnedest to try to sweep Kansas City. What in their lineup right now, what on the mound for them would lead you to believe that you can't take all 3 of those games early in the year?
Just the fact that we are a Minnesota sports team, and that's a division rival at their house.
Yeah. And it's on a road trip playing some back-to-backs, but just hit the ball, be consistent, start to gel as a team, do the right things and come out at least one game over you 1 game over 500 pretty much all season long would be my expectations for them. Any other comments on the week upcoming? I know the Red Sox are a tough team to play at home in Boston. So
yeah, they definitely have a tough week upcoming. Just a reminder to the fans, let us know what you think about the current status of the Minnesota Twins. Also, let us know who you thought the top Twin was for week 1 of the season. Mine was Byron Buxton, and Nick's was Gary Sanchez. So with that, we'll actually switch over to a card giveaway.
We like to give stuff away on this show.
We do.
So we're going to give some more stuff away. So while I open these packs, as always, Mike, take them through the rules.
Yes, sir. For our card giveaway contest, we are giving away any card out of today's pack or the packs from the previous weeks that have not yet been claimed. In order to be entered to win, again, there are unlimited entries. On Twitter, take a screenshot and at us at Glass Half Sports with the card you want to win. TikTok and Instagram, share the clip or picture and comment with the card you would like to win. And on Facebook, go to our Facebook, Glass Half Sports, and share this clip and or full episode with the card that you would like to win. Then you must tune in next Thursday to see the giveaway as we draw for it live, which we are going to be drawing today as well.
That's right.
Feels like we should condense those rules.
Yeah. In simplicity, folks, if you want to be entered to win something on any of our platforms, like, share, and comment with the player that you'd like to win, the card that you'd like to win, either here, there, or here. Pretty simple. Pretty simple.
It is pretty simple. It just takes a lot to say.
I just want to say also that I almost bought a Byron Buxton, like a rookie auto card this week. For $50, and it was before the Twins opener, last week. And now I'm just kicking myself because I'm hearing from you guys in real time that he started on fire. I even discussed. I said with Mike, I was like, either he's going to have that year where he blows up, or this is the end of him, sort of.
Hey man, he was the most heavily bet on player in Vegas once spring training started to win MVP this year.
No way.
Yep.
And
wow.
His odds just increased through spring training. So.
Yep.
God, I wish I would have bought that card.
Well, we might have something in store for you and an easy place for you to get that if you tune in for the draft special, Gabe. We might have something to announce. We're up to stuff. So
I'll be here.
Yeah, you'll be here. So let's go through the cards that we have. We have 10 cards here out of the 2 packs from Bowman. So I will get these set up for you. Turn my microphone so so everybody can hear me. So first card is going to be Carson Williams from Tampa Bay. I almost thought that was Bryce Harper. It's not. It's Brady House from the Nationals. Ooh, Bobby Witt Jr., Kansas City. That's a
hot one.
That's a hot one right now. There we go. Oh, here we go again. Jared Kalinick, future card for the Mariners. There's another top pick for you as well. So 2 cards that are going good right now. Trevor Story with the Rockies, now signed with the Boston Red Sox. Joey Bart. Hey, Mike made a mention to him the other week on the show.
I did.
Catcher for the Giants.
Joey Bart.
Ooh, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
This is a sick pack.
This is a good pack. Javier Baez with the Mets. I know Gabe's kicking himself. Oh, here's our auto. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Yonikil Cespedes is our auto card. He's a hot one for the White Sox.
Oh,
And then Nick Madrigal for the Chicago Cubs.
another hot rookie.
Another hot rookie. Folks, look, we got some great cards here for you to win. So, Mike, once again, what do they got to do to enter to win any of these amazing cards?
Summarized version. Share the clip or picture or video that you see on your selected social media platform. Comment and or with your share, give us the name of the player that you would like to win.
Yeah. So, like,
What's our favorite card this week, by the way?
mine is definitely going to be the auto Cespedes card because I'm actually a big believer that he's going to be doing damage for the White Sox. But that Kalenic card's that future vibrance card right here. This a good card.
I like the Vlad and Trevor Story.
The Vlad card is probably going to be pretty good too. So with that being said, I'm going to pack these cards up and Mike's going to lead you guys into the next topic.
Yes, sir. So we're going to actually switch gears here and go into our Wild and Wolf watch. I'm going to intro the topic with the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, we got to save the best for last
We're gonna
because there's
save the
some
best
news.
for last. Well, not that the Wild are poor either.
No.
The Wild have been absolutely on fire. I heard grief again from my old man about how we supposedly doubted them.
You doubted him. I doubted him.
I'm pretty sure you were the one
him.
who was actually saying that it was time to panic. And the Wild are actually in a game currently. They're in the second period with the Dallas Stars on national television. I believe they're on ESPN tonight. Wild are actually up 1-0, and so
Nice.
that would continue a very hot streak. I think they're like 18-3 or something ridiculous over the last 20 games. They've absolutely been rolling. They're 7-1-2 in their last 10. And they are sitting at 96 points, which is second in the Central Division.
Yeah, they're not far behind, are they?
They're pretty far behind the Avalanche, but the Avalanche are going to be far and away probably the best team in the West.
Were we able to surpass Calgary? I wasn't paying attention to that. Because they've
Calgary
kinda had our
right
number.
now is sitting at 99 points.
Okay.
So
This is
the one that
from a
we
few
have
days
up on
ago.
the screen is just like a day or two outdated because
Yep.
there's some production value that goes into our show. We got to get things ready. So
Yes, sir.
that's one of the reasons why I personally like to keep my laptop in front of me just for up to date stuff. And when Nick says something outlandish, I can look it up and make sure
Fact check me.
I can fact check him. So the Flames currently are at 99 points, 73 games played. We're at 96 points with 72 games played. So we're right on their heels.
There we go. Getting hot coming into the playoffs. What have you thought of their performance over the last week?
I'm gonna do a top Wild player.
Go ahead. Have at
Very
it.
similar to how we did a top Twins player. Who's that goalie that I wanted to trade away about a month ago?
Capo Kakinen.
No, the
Cam
one I
Talbot.
wanted. Yeah. I'm going to eat crow on that too. Because pretty much since that trade, Cam Talbot has been absolutely ridiculous.
Cam Talbot's always been ridiculous. Stand on your head, son. Let's go.
The question is, if the playoffs started tomorrow, Cam Talbot's got to start game one.
Yeah.
And Fleury,
What better backup to have than Marc-Andre Fleury?
So do you think that we would treat the playoffs very similar to when we had like Dwayne Rollison and Manny Fernandez and
Hot
almost
hand.
switch, like let them play a couple games here and just kind of see?
Hot hand.
Because back then we
Yes, Dylan, we will be getting to NBA playoff predictions. Just sit tight with us, and we'll be there in just a minute.
we got to talk hockey first and piss you off just a little bit first. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. We basically have two number one goalies. So yes, I was bashing it a while ago, but at the time, in my defense, Talbot was not playing as well as he is now.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
kudos to him for rising to the occasion of us bringing in a future Hall of Famer and basically saying, no, this is my job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, earn your keep, right? Get in where you fit in, and Cam Talbot's fit in right into the number one goalie slot because he stayed hot. He has earned his role there. So that's fantastic for him. I have had to take my eye off the Wild a little bit over the last week as we have been up to something for the NFL draft. So I've had some other things that I have been dealing with, but I haven't heard anything outlandish. There hasn't been anything concerning. And as you creep up to the playoffs, I guess a team of this caliber, that's the only thing you're really on the lookout for. Right. And as long as you're not hearing bad news, it's all good news. So I'm just excited for them to get rolling into the playoffs. Let's take a look at the schedule as we move into next week, as we inch ever closer to pursuing Lord Stanley's Cup.
I do just because you probably missed it. I do want to tell you one piece of news,
What I miss?
and we can talk about it really quick. A couple games ago, Evander Kane went after Kaprizov when we were up like 5-1 or something, and Ryan Hartman came in and defended Kaprizov. Actually, Ryan Hartman and basically the entire Minnesota Wild.
Good.
But Hartman was pulled away and flicked him off.
I heard he got. Actually, you know what? I did hear this. He got fined
like a $5,000 fine. Well, here's how great Minnesota Wild fans are. They've donated enough to basically pay off that fine. And Ryan Hartman has come out and said that he is going to pay for the fine with his own money. All of the donations are going to go to children's. So
that's so Minnesota. It's so nice. That's awesome to see. For all these other towns out
we're
here,
all defending Kaprizov.
Yeah.
It feels like
we're the 12th man of hockey up here in the state of hockey.
So I just wasn't sure if you heard about that, but we can switch back over to the schedule.
I heard about it. I just wasn't at the top of the noodle.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot going on in here. It's like a gigantic fishbowl these days with a lot of fish swimming around in it. Don't make any jokes. Don't do that. But the games that they have coming up, they are in the middle of that Dallas Stars game right now. Then we have a game on the 16th away at St. Louis, San Jose at home on the 17th, Montreal away on the 19th. And then the 21st, after our show, will be a game against the Sharks.
My old man must have an OBJ emoji. Talbot had a bad streak when the Wild had a bad streak. Do you think the Wild had a bad streak because Talbot had a bad streak?
Could be. Which came first, chicken or the egg?
I don't know. All I know is Talbot played poorly during those games.
True. Could be bad defense, and we've added defenders. So, Mike, what are your expectations for the team as we inch ever closer to our pursuit of our first ever Stanley Cup?
Yeah, Blues is going to be a tough one. Love to see us get away with at least a point there. Sharks, I believe that we should win on Sunday. Canadiens on Tuesday, I believe we defeat them as well. And then the Canucks, we will see you guys before we play Vancouver.
That's true. With an announcement, so don't miss it. So my expectations for this team, obviously take the win tonight. We're already up. Go ahead and bring that one. Are we down?
We're tied now.
Oh, God damn it. Well,
but still,
bring that one home
Yep.
tonight. Good to see them get, their get back against St. Louis. That big physical team seems to have our number, and they're only going to experience more of that as they creep ever closer to the playoffs. So treat that like a playoff game.
That's why I'd like us to just make sure we get a point, because it's in St. Louis too.
Yeah.
Just make sure you get a point from there, because then San Jose is dog water, in my opinion. Montreal isn't great. The Habs are Habs not right now.
Wow, look at you with some wordplay.
Yeah, I am a dad, dude. I got those dad puns ready to go.
What a great pair of jokes.
And then Vancouver on Thursday will touch base. So I'm going to say 2-0-1 is my expectation going into this week.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. Keep pace, continue to get ready for the playoffs. They're not in jeopardy of falling out or falling back far enough for it to be anything that Wild fans should be worried about. It's kind of interesting to have a team that coasts into the playoffs for a change, unlike the team that we're going to have to talk about here in a minute. So just continue to do your thing. And hey, Kaprizov, just continue to rack up the points, big guy. I love seeing him just
all hail Kirill.
The thrill that is Kirill. Do something wild, man. Been awesome watching him all season long.
Yes, it has. It's been a pleasure. So, viewers out there, let us know what you think about the current status of the Minnesota Wild and the week upcoming.
For sure. Let us know your thoughts on winning a Stanley Cup this year. I've been banging on the table for it all year. We're going to go get one.
All right. And with that, we'll switch over to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Hey, man, I'll give you the podium. Mike earned a little airtime here.
So we'll have to find the clip.
I'll post it on social.
And post it on social media. But I believe it was back on June 24th.
Yeah.
This was basically, we were arguing about the Minnesota Timberwolves losing their draft pick to the Golden State Warriors because they played good basketball at the end of last season.
Yep.
Basically too good to get out of that pick. And at the time, I told you it is no reason to worry because we have the core that we need. And we didn't even make a bet. That's the funniest thing.
I mean, I made a bet. Mike did not.
I said that the Minnesota Timberwolves will win 45 games or I will wear an Andrew Luck jersey and only have a Neard for 1 month. Thankfully, I knew the whole time. The Timberwolves won 46 games made the play-in tournament as the 7 seed as well. And we have to talk about the great game that they played against the Clippers to secure the 7 seed in the playoffs moving forward.
Congratulations to you for calling it. I didn't think that this team quite had it in them before I saw them play. Now, I will say this. Once they started rolling this year, it was very evident the steps that had been taken by guys like Vanderbilt, McDaniels, Edwards, the impact that Pat Bev has on the locker room, D'Angelo Russell settling into like a 2A role versus being the closer for the team. Cat's improvement on defense, somewhat, and Chris
As
Finch's.
we watch him get scored on.
Well, we're going to talk about that here in a second. So this was, I guess, expected for me because expectations do change. We've had that argument 100 times on this show. Situations are situational, but I'm really glad that they didn't dribble it down their legs. They almost let Paul George individually beat them, but it was really, really cool to see D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards be exactly what we thought and expected them to be in a big moment, being down 10 in the fourth quarter and just getting buckets when needed, playing solid defense and letting it ride. Now, my opinion for Cat, he owes me a playoff win. If we're going to Memphis, that whole team is the only reason why his big ass gets to go to the playoffs. So guess what? He needs to be the reason that the rest of this team gets at least one win in the playoffs because his play was atrocious and so unself-aware of the moment.
I'll get to Cat in a second. I just have a question for you real quick.
Yes.
Do you think the late Denny Green was sitting on Coach Lou's shoulder saying they are who we thought they were and we let them off the hook?
Potentially.
Because Ant and D'Lo literally took the game over late in the fourth quarter when the bum finally fouled out.
Yeah,
That's right. The bum. When you go into a play-in game with your season on the line, and I believe he ended up with 4 points.
7 points in total.
7 points in total. And I didn't even see him in the paint at all.
Nope.
I don't care if your game has the ability and the capability to go outside and hit threes. You are 7 feet tall, sir. Stop being a baby. Be physical. Get down low. Patrick Beverley out-rebounding you is a joke, and it's disgusting.
Just
play the 5, please.
So unaware. And congratulations. You wanted the greatest shooting big man title. You got it. You got yourself a 3-point contest win. You wanted to be an all-star. Congratulations. You got to go. But Cat, it's no longer about you. You have to now knuckle under and do nothing but play team basketball. And with what he is able to contribute, he needs to be on the floor. They were talking about it at halftime of the game. You can't let him go back in. He needs to play a different brand of basketball to help his team win in this situation. And he just reverted back to who he has always been. Soft and selfish in big moments. That's why I worry so much about this team. That's why at the beginning of the season, I wondered if they were even going to make the playoffs, is because this under pressure is who he always seems to revert back to. You saw it last night. Ant stepped up in a big moment. McDaniels, Vanderbilt, Pat Beverley, D'Lo, they stepped up in a big moment. Cat regressed mightily. And if they would have gotten knocked out, I would be sitting here today calling for a trade.
Yeah, and honestly, as I searched through the clips to try to find the clip of me guessing it right back in June, there were a lot of clips of us bashing Cat, and there was one where you had brought up the possibility of him being traded. I'm going to say what I said 6 months ago. I don't think it's a bad idea. The way he reacted to the fouls,
yes,
I think is the biggest red flag. Not necessarily the fouls themselves, because yeah, he was unaware. He is still a younger player. We'll give him excuses and reasons. To throw a tantrum, though, I'm sorry, you're just confirming what all sports reporters, including ourselves, think of you. And yes, you're a talented basketball player, but you are soft as baby shit. Soft.
SAWFT.
Soft.
Soft. Now
so let's switch gears and talk about the hope.
Right. First of all, Patrick Beverley, retire a Wolf. That's all I'm asking for. I love that man here. I used to hate him everywhere else.
I was going to say, I also saw the clip of him coming like when we first got him, and we both hated it. I even asked to cancel the bet at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And he said no.
No, can't do it. I love Patrick Beverley. Listen, man, John Morant has his work cut out for him in this upcoming series. Paul George last night on Tuesday was on fire. You know what? The only time he wasn't scoring the basketball is when he was covered up by Patrick Beverley. John Morant's got a big problem coming his way. And I was talking about this to somebody earlier today. John Morant covers down or gets covered up by Patrick Beverley. If Ant or Cat can stay in the game, along with some of the help defense you get from Vanderbilt, McDaniels, you're going to be able to neutralize Steven Adams rebounding, hopefully. And then on the offensive end, who are they going to have that can keep pace with the way that we score the basketball? I'm fairly comfortable right now if Cat doesn't do Cat things in us being able to get out of the first round.
Well, yeah, and that just shows why Tuesday was so vital, because the Clippers now are going to play a game to try to play the Suns. And
Good luck.
I don't care who you are, the Suns are going to get past the first round.
They're world beaters right now.
Now, Memphis, on the other hand,
Yeah.
I believe we played 4 times during the regular season. We split with them.
Yep.
They are a beatable team, especially with the way that we run our sets, the team that we're built as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun 7-game series.
Yeah, and for me,
What's your actual prediction? Do we get past them? I'm going to say Memphis in 7, and it's simply because they have the home court.
Yeah, but I think early, especially with the momentum that you have right now. And here's the other thing that I loved about the win from the other night. D'Angelo, like everybody's celebrating, jumping on tables, doing whatever. D'Angelo Russell, very common in his interview post-game, and then goes right to Twitter, and he gives us the Kobe quote. Job not done. Job finished. Job not finished. He's ready to go.
No,
and if he's the cool hand Luke in the locker room and he can get everybody on that same page, Memphis is in for a series that I don't think they're ready for.
I will say on the flip side, though, all of the people across the nation like making
Stephen A. Smith
making fun of the Timberwolves. I apologize. They deserve to be able to celebrate.
Yeah, it's been 20 years since we've had a relevant team.
Yeah, and this unit is the same unit that won 20 games a year ago.
Very true.
Let's be honest. This is basically the same roster that has doubled their win count and is now in an NBA playoff game against an opponent that is beatable. They have everything to celebrate for right now. So if you're hating on them, you're just a hater.
Yeah, haters gonna hate. They hate us because they ain't us. And Stephen A. Smith's take on us was ass. So it makes sense.
That's what A stands for.
Yep. So here are your NBA playoffs for the upcoming week or so. Mike, give me some of your predictions coming out of the West.
So I am going to say Memphis in 7. It hurts me to say.
Ooh, okay.
I'll go Golden State in 6 over the Nuggets.
Gotcha.
I'll take the Mavs over the Jazz and Suns over. It'll be the Clippers. Suns over the Clippers. In the East, you want me to do the East as well?
Yeah, give it a shot.
East Heat in 5. Let's say Sixers in 7. People were saying that Sixers were going to sweep Toronto. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, especially with OG Anunoby back in the way that he's been playing lately.
Scotty Barnes should be the rookie of the year, in my opinion. Like, honestly. Milwaukee Bucks over the Bulls. And I'm going to say Brooklyn in 7 over Boston.
Yep. So I'll kind of go backwards from the direction that you chose. I'm going to take Brooklyn over Boston. I know that Boston is a defensive juggernaut right now, and that seems to be the one thing that Brooklyn can't do is play defense, but they're going to get Ben Simmons back. And whether you like him as a player or not, the length that he adds on defense to be able to guard a guy like Tatum and take some of the pressure off a guy like Kevin Durant, who is a scoring machine, is going to have an impact. So I will, and especially with Kyrie going back to Boston to kind of stick the dagger in him, that's something that he gets up for. I'm going to take Brooklyn in that series. I would give the edge to Chicago if they had Lonzo, but with Lonzo being out, I think they're just going to be a little overwhelmed lengthwise. He's such a good defensive
Let's not forget
piece.
the Bucks are the defending champions.
They are. I don't see them repeating, right?
No, but they're not going to get knocked out in the first round.
Exactly. Maybe a little bit closer series, like I said, if Lonzo is healthy. So I'll take the Bucks in that series. 76ers over the Raptors. I think the talent war of attrition will just wear them down over a 7-game series.
Over 7, probably. They're not sweeping.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a sweep. There's already cracks in what looked like an amazing trade for James Harden. Man, has he fallen from grace so fast. And I never trust Joel Embiid. On any given night, you could lose him for the next week and a half with how he treats his body. So I will take the 76ers, but not by much. I see that right there. Wild scored. Kevin Fiala. Wild are up 2-1. Let's go.
And there's the OBJ emoji.
And then we have the Heat versus the Hawks. Very disappointed at LaMelo Ball's 2 play-in game performances.
Are you disappointed, though, or does this just prove that Ant is actually better than Melo?
I don't think it proves that. I think one's part of a much better team and a much better organization right now. I will take, you know what? I'm going to take the Hawks over the Heat. Listen, there's something going on in that locker room with the way that the Heat backslid pretty much all season long after that Jimmy Butler blow up on the sideline. And Trae Young is playoff Trae. Like, he's been ice in his veins Trae. Last year in the playoffs, he was that last night against the Hornets, putting up big points. So I'm going to take them in that series as well.
I will bet you in Arturo's pizza slice.
You have a deal, my friend.
And that's an actual bet. I'm not the only one betting anything.
There we go. And then in the West, Gabe, can you toss that back up for me? I know I'm taking the T-Wolves in 7 over Memphis.
Let's go.
You're going to hate this. I'm going to take Denver over Golden State.
I'll bet you another Arturo's pizza slice.
That one I won't take. James Wiseman is an issue for them. He has not played well, and I think Nikola Jokic is going to give him all sorts of fits. Klay Thompson isn't 100%. Steph Curry hasn't been, MVP level stuff. He's been good, but he's not MVP level stuff. And I think Denver has the chance to get it done. You're talking about last year's MVP. I'll take Dallas over Utah, and then the Suns to beat whoever they are going to play in the first round.
Let's do a championship pick right now. Who do you see winning the whole thing as of right now? And this pick can change. But right now,
I'm going to say the Suns.
Suns. Deal. All right, there we go.
So let us know what you guys think on the exciting Minnesota Timberwolves play-in victory. What is your projection or prediction for them as they go into this playoff series against Memphis? Are they going to be able to get out of the first round?
And who's your finals pick right now?
Absolutely. Let us know in the comments here, and we will get back to you live like you've been seeing comments all night, or we'll get back to you on social media because we like to talk with people, right, Mike?
We do.
Absolutely. What do we got next?
So we're going to switch into basically the weekend that was.
Yeah, real quick, just some things that happened from, around the league.
It's going to be our little 2-minute segment.
Yes, sir.
Today.
Starting with some more news coming out of Vegas.
Yeah, Derek Carr contract extension. You are the numbers guy, Nick. Can you break down this contract for us?
3 years, $121 million extension for Derek Carr. A little rich for my blood, but I think the numbers that were given to him marry up very well with the contract in the opt-out scenario of Devontae Adams and what they project their ability to win in that division to be with what looks like, as of right now before the draft, a little bit of a step back for the Kansas City Chiefs. The market is going to be this. The cap is only going to continue to rise. So I think you're going to see a lot of this, what looks like really outrageous numbers for quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson messed the market up big time with all the guaranteed money that he got and how people are going to have to react to paying other quarterbacks now. And we heard a little bit about that, some grumblings from some other owners over the winter meetings. But I think this is a good move. Josh McDaniels obviously believes in this guy. I think he's trying to build an offense around him that suits all of his strengths. And instead of saying, hey, let's try to find the young, new, shiny thing, let's take this proven commodity and see if we can build a team around it that'll get us to the playoffs.
I think that's why, personally, I don't see it as a great move for the Raiders.
Okay.
Because I think that your ceiling is playoffs.
I mean, he's good in big moments. Like, you could ask me right now, would you take Derek Carr? Would you take Kirk Cousins? I'd take Derek Carr.
What team? Raiders?
Just as a quarterback for your team. As a locker room guy, as a glue guy, as a big moment guy.
I'll put this stipulation. I'll take Kirk Cousins at the age that Derek Carr is.
Factual. Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Because 4 years ago, you would have taken Kirk Cousins as well, I think.
Yes, I would. I think Derek Carr has continued to get better. I think there's growth in him every year in one way or another.
I want to make it very clear. I'm not shitting on Derek Carr, but Is Derek Carr a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now? Or is he truly like top 15 territory? Because you're talking top
Fringe
15
10, like 11, 12
Okay,
maybe.
so let's say he's the 12th best quarterback in the NFL. You're going to pay this guy 40 of your $200 million that you're allotted every year.
Yeah. And
Like,
Can I ask you? I'm dizzy back here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put your logic together, Mike, on why you'd want Kirk Cousins. And like, you already know what Kirk Cousins is.
Well,
At
yeah,
least
us
Derek
better
Carr's
than
got
anybody.
potential. At
I
least he's
mean,
got potential.
I'm not going to disagree with you that there's still room for improvement, but Derek Carr is also like 31 or 32. Like,
Yeah.
he's not 25.
And that's a terrible picture.
Yeah, he looks
I don't know
like
why.
the-
He's very unlikable in that
Well,
picture.
he just looks like the kid from The Incredibles, all grown up.
Oh, he really does. He really does. I don't know. Good move for the Raiders. I mean, what were your other options? What would Devontae Adams have thought if they would have moved off
Well,
Derek Carr and
that's
not gotten
the
this
thing.
deal
It's
done?
like-
You know what I mean?
And that's actually what we've been seeing in the NFL a lot is these
You gotta marry 'em.
massive deals for quarterbacks that don't necessarily deserve the deal, but the team is handcuffed because if
Because they're married
move
to
on from
another
Derek
weapon.
Carr, what do you have? You have nothing in the roster currently. The draft class this year has been trash.
Isn't
in
strong.
my opinion. Like,
Trade value is going to be weird. What are you going to get in return, especially at this point right now? Like Baker, is Baker really an upgrade over Derek Carr? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do think we have to talk about this comment real quick. And I understand this is our 2-minute segment, but
Yep.
did you see, Gabe Noah, did you guys see something about a fan at the Timberwolves game who glued themselves to the court? Did you see it?
I did. Something about protesting a relation that Glenn Taylor has had. Why am I not surprised that his name is in the media for something fucking negative?
So it's protesting Glenn Taylor because he owns basically a bird farm. And they exterminated, I want to say 3.5 million birds due to an outbreak of the bird flu. But the reason that they are protesting is because of the way that they executed them, which is basically like did something with the air supply and changed the air supply until they died. And then the reason that they basically were to the point of having to execute that many birds was because of their living conditions.
Okay.
So
Glenn Taylor, bad person. Don't
Agreed.
like him. Fan that glued herself to the floor, absolute idiot. Take your protest
I'm going
off.
to disagree with you
The
a little bit
Wolves
there,
get one nationally televised game every year. That happened to be our one nationally televised game. And that's the mark that you're going to leave on our fan
So
base.
that's kind of why I have to disagree with you a little bit, because the purpose of whether or not I agree with the protest, the purpose of a protest is to get people to talk about you and or the protest. And guess what? There are ESPN articles about the fan who glued herself to the court. She got exactly what she was going for, which was exposure. So it is what it is. Like,
Don't reward idiocracy. That's just my opinion. Don't talk about it.
would you have said that about stuff back in the 60s? Like,
That's a little bit different.
I mean, I get it. I'm just
Attack
saying.
me if you want. The value of a human life and the value of a bird's life. By the way, if any of those birds get out in the bird flu, like the whatever this virus is, starts killing people, then everybody's looking at Glenn Taylor going, why didn't you kill all the birds by any means necessary?
All right. I agree with you. I think we're getting a little off topic. I agree with you there. I do. I'm just saying the purpose of a protest is to draw attention to your protest.
Do it
Which
somewhere
she-
else. That's my
People
opinion.
say that about people who
Glue yourself
protest.
to a different
Yeah,
course.
glue yourself to a different floor. There's plenty of high school gyms all over the country.
Not with the exposure. Like, you don't understand. Dude.
Bummer.
That's
Like,
the
it's
point.
just like
Bummer.
people blocking off 35W. Why don't you go block off your neighborhood street? Well, it's probably because there aren't thousands of commuters trying to use that road and you're not drawing the same type of exposure to your protest.
We're going to get into a conversation that's not going to end well for
No,
this show. So
all
let's
I'm
move
saying
on.
Is it's the reality of living in a society is you live with people who disagree
Yes,
with
Gabe.
you. And,
That's my opinion on it.
all right. So Gabe started it. So
I seriously thought I was intoxicated. Like, I saw the
no, her
ticker.
handprint is still on the floor, like as of right
Good.
now.
She left. She left her fingerprints all over the Timberwolves franchise.
She did. All right. Our other event that happened this weekend. There are news from Washington D.C. about the
Yeah,
Nationals.
from Derek Carr getting money to the Washington Nationals franchise looking to get some money themselves in selling the team.
You're going to have to take the lead just because I did read up on this, and that is not what I took away from my research, to be honest.
So here's the way that I believe it's going. But the economics of baseball, especially with some of the new things that are coming in with the luxury tax, the competitive balance tax, the fact that fan bases are going to want to see a competitive team paid for consistently in order to show up to games, the Leonard family is open to selling the team if the right offer occurs, because I don't think that they want to be a part of whatever this new baseball market is. Now, on their behalf, is that fair? Absolutely. I ask that of the Pirates coach. I ask that of the Pohlads. I ask that of the Orioles. I ask that of all of the bottom feeder teams that just don't want to seem to compete in this economic market. If you don't think you can, get out. Let the game of baseball regrow into something that we can all be proud of. That is my only thoughts on this. Would it be sad to see a team up for sale? Not necessarily. What if the new ownership that comes in puts a lot of juice into the league? Like, look at the way the NFL has done it, letting guys like Tepper in. Bezos has been around the team. The Wolves getting A-Rod was a huge step up. Sometimes the new wave is good. Change isn't a horrible thing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. What I got out of it was the biggest thing is they're looking for money.
Yes, and yes, Gabe, I have thought about that. Scott Boras has absolutely demolished the Lenners in every negotiation over the last 8 to 10 years.
Right.
So
Gabe says he should become the owner.
I would agree.
But basically they're strapped for cash.
Yeah.
And they're looking for possible investors and or someone who is interested in putting up the capital to purchase the team from them.
Yeah.
So they're not actively selling the team.
They're not against it, though.
They made it clear that this is not a process that they're looking to rush or hurry. They're just, I think it's being blown out a little bit out of proportion. They're basically putting feelers out there for people who would like to invest in the team one way or the other.
Right. I mean, this is something this is something similar to what you saw with the Dodgers.
Right.
What is that, 8 years ago now when Magic Johnson got involved? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just new blood. Sometimes it's just new money. There's a lot of teams that are going through this right now. I think the old guard of ownership in general in professional sports is transitioning out. The Bears are going to be for sale here soon.
The old guard is getting old.
Yeah, the old guard's getting old. Like the Bears are going to be up for sale. The Chargers.
I was going to say, aren't the Giants? Isn't the Giants owner
the Broncos? The Giants owner has made rumblings of getting out. Tepper just moved in Carolina. It's one of those things where maybe it's just time. Maybe we're just going through one of those phases in sports. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And if you need another investor, awesome.
Sounds great. Well, let us know what you think about the Washington Nationals possibly being sold. And did we have a third topic for weekend review today?
We did. We'll touch on it real quick. Real sad news coming out of last weekend with the death of Dwayne Haskins. Really, really sad to hear this. And way too often is it that you don't realize how quality of an individual guys like this are until the stories get told when they're gone. And I feel like that was the overwhelming theme of Dwayne Haskins. There were definitely some times as a professional quarterback where his character was questionable and people didn't see him in the best light, but then something like this happens, which is incredibly unfortunate. And then there's just this outpouring of people who are willing to vouch for the quality of individual that he was and the impact that he had on the individuals that he touched at Ohio State, how good of a teammate that he was when he was kind of trying to make his way back in that Steelers locker room. And this was just incredibly, incredibly hard for me to see.
Yeah, it was shocking for sure. Sad, shocking, going from competing for your starting job again to that. I do have to say though, I'm extremely curious, and I have not yet heard what he was trying to accomplish or what he was doing at the time of trying to cross a freeway on foot at 7 a.m.
He was training. He was at an early morning training session with other NFL players or other players in general at a field in Florida. I don't know what transpired after that. Good for him to be down there getting some work in.
I know there were some Steeler teammates as well.
Yeah,
but
Chase Claypool was down there.
I try to think of scenarios
why you'd cross a street like
why
that.
Why a 25-year-old premier elite athlete, in my opinion, who should be in the right mind at 7 a.m.
I read a witness account of it that I found today.
Yeah,
and you can kind of put the dots together as far as that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really sad sounding. Like,
It's unfortunate, but now he's tossing the pigskin around on the big football field in the sky. Prayers go on out to his family, his friends, his teammates, anybody who may have been impacted by this. And it's also a good reminder to take a look around, tell the people that you're close to that you love them, because not every day is guaranteed. We try to keep it nice and light on this show, but it's tough. Things like this aren't easy. Tomorrow's not promised. So Gabe, Mike, Shale, everybody here watching at Glass Half Sports, I love all of you for the participation that you've had in this show, because if I were to wake up tomorrow and not be here, been an awesome run. You know what I mean? Just got to give those thanks and give your roses when you have the chance, because you never know when that last chance is going to be.
Ditto.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
All right.
Nice heartwarming moment here on Glass Half Sports.
With that, we're going to touch real quick on the Vikings.
Yeah.
And then we're going to kind of transition into diving deep into the NFL draft, which also happens to start with the Vikings pick at 12.
It's almost like we planned it.
Almost. We're kind of smart.
There's production value in this show. A little bit of news for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, not much to speak about. I guess not voluntary, organized off-season meetings, I guess, so to speak, have started with the Minnesota Vikings. Good to see a lot of the big names in the building. Adam Thielen was there. Danielle Hunter showed up. Another name that was there that we weren't sure if he was going to make it back this year, Patrick Peterson, got a deal to come back to the team. Mike, your thoughts on Pat P's return to the Vikings defense minus Zimmer, especially since that was a big reason why he claims to have showed up last year.
To be honest, a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
But in a good way. I thought I was going to see him in a Cowboys uniform.
I was almost sure that was what was going to happen.
But I love the move because I'm very confident that we're going to draft a corner at 12. And I think
I know who it is.
I think having Pat P in the locker room to help him develop is only a good thing.
Yeah. So other than that, anything that you saw, Dalvin's going to change his number to number 4.
Cost him $1.2 million to do so as well.
Yeah, big ups to him being able to spend that kind of money. If I can get one of those old 33 jerseys to hang in the background here, maybe next to this Adrian Peterson one, that'd be pretty cool. But other than that, it was cool to see Adam Thielen and some of the guys, very agitated veterans at the end of last season, return, and they all look like they've been able to exhale and move on to what this year should be the opportunity for them to win the NFC North.
Agreed.
So it's all going to start with the voluntary stuff to set the culture, and it was really cool to see everybody there partaking in that. I don't think there was any
Speaking of
notable
voluntary
abstinence.
there was also a large group of Vikings that was at the Timberwolves game on Tuesday, which is cool to see them hanging out off the field as well. There was another segment you wanted to do with Viking News mocking the mockers?
Mocking the mockers, but we're going to scrap it. I have a blind resume for you instead.
Okay.
So, Gabe, there is a photo in there with just stats and no pictures. Can you put that up for me, please?
I'm not exactly sure which one that is.
It should be 3 black boxes with just numbers in it.
I might have to wait a second on that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Let's see.
It's all good. So the Vikings,
It's not the one with the players on it.
yeah,
No.
not the one with the players on it. The Vikings have a pick at 12, and outside of possibly getting Derek Stingley Jr., there are 2 corners that have been linked to the Minnesota Vikings by a lot of mock draft experts. So if Gabe has it eventually, if he doesn't, we can put the players up as well. I was just going to have Mike run through these 2 players that have been linked through some of these other mock drafts and get his opinion on who he would choose based on the professional opinions and what the best option would be at pick number 12.
I just want Stingley though. Gotta be honest.
So badly. So we'll talk about it
Yeah,
when
we're
we
gonna
get
look
to
at
the
these
mock
2
draft
other
pick.
guys, but I want Derek Stingley.
It's almost like there's a lot of LSU Tigers in our locker room.
It's almost like they just won a championship a couple years ago and have some
Yeah.
good players. Weird.
Do you not have it, Gabe?
I'm actually pulling it up right now. I had to go in an
Perfect.
email and find it, but yeah, I got it.
You're the man. You're the
It's-
man.
well, not
Donaldson's
really.
umbrella kind of
Let's see.
looks pretty cool this week.
It's shiny.
It makes it harder when you guys are waiting on me, though.
I'm not
I'm
worried about
sorry.
it, man. I'm not
I'm
worried
trying to
about it.
figure. where
I'm
to
subtly
think about
reading an article about something right now. So
Mike's just now doing his research for the mock draft that we had. He was supposed
it. We
to
should
be.
talk a little.
whoa,
bit
we
about
have a
that
mock draft
while we're-
tonight?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
that's a joke.
While Gabe pulls this up, maybe we can go into pick number 12 and we'll bounce back to it. So at number 12, Mike, the Vikings have a pick. after the mock draft that we did last week. And if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. We've been posting clips all week about what your team should do at their position. So, Mike, what is your opinion on what the Vikings should do at pick number 12?
I'm like 99% sure I didn't have Stingley yet off the board for my mock.
I'm like 110% sure I didn't have Stingley yet off the board for my
I'm going
mock.
to say Derek Stingley.
Yes, Gabe, that one. Thank you.
I'm going to say Derek Stingley Jr., LSU.
Why? What do you think makes him the best fit for the Vikings right now?
He is truly the reincarnation of Antoine Winfield, in my opinion. He's a physical corner that is not afraid of guarding anybody. And I think we need a true number one corner, and the attitude piece of it is the biggest piece. When you look at the difference between Derek Stingley Jr. and Trey Waynes, who was a first round top 10 cornerback pick for us,
or Hughes,
there's a huge difference.
There's a massive difference. This is a top end guy.
Yes.
Like, I love Sauce.
And he brings the attitude to back it up. Same as Sauce.
I love Sauce Gardner. I think Sauce Gardner, and there are people out there that will tell you that they are interchangeable, right? Both Derek Stingler and Sauce Gardner, depending on what kind of scheme you want to run and whatever the case may be. I would disagree with you. I think Sauce is the better talent. But if you're going to ask me potential-wise, who has the potential to be, an absolute long-term game wrecker, the body of work to me would speak to possibly being Derek Stingley Jr.
To be honest, I don't think both is a wrong answer.
Right. So I think not only that, having Pat P, former LSU guy in the locker room that he's comfortable with or that he knows culture-wise from DBU is going to be really good. And then also having Justin Jefferson, LSU guy in the locker room, Danielle Hunter, LSU guy in the locker room. There's a culture there. He'll fit in. He's going to be a part of that defense for years to come as we age out. We're going to have to kind of reset that, but then he can become the leader of that cornerback room in years 2, 3, 4 before you even have to pay him his next contract. And the attitude that he brings almost reminds me, not quite to the same level, but a little Honey Badgerish when he came out. He's got that grit to him when he plays and when he's on. Now I know he's had 2 down years. That'll help him hopefully slide to us, but I think the guy you're going to get in an NFL system where he's got another corner there to help him out, where there's good defensive pieces around him.
And just think how good he is that we're hoping that he slides to us at 12 after 2 down years.
Yeah, right.
Like that's all you need to know right there. So let's go ahead and switch back to your blind resume. So this is if Derek Stingley is off of the board.
Yes.
At 12. These are 2 corners that are left at the time, and I'm guessing one of them is McDuffie.
Nope. Maybe. We'll see. So I just wanted to read off the blind resume. If you're not watching this on Facebook, you should be. But for our Spotify listeners, here's what it is. We got one corner, 5'11", 195 pounds, both of them age 21. One of them has played 27 games, has 71 tackles, 2 interceptions, 8 passes defended, and no touchdowns. The other one, 6 foot, 200 pounds, still age 21. 15 games played, 51 tackles, 5 interceptions, 9 passes defended, and a touchdown. Based on blind resume, Mike, who do you think the better corner is here?
I mean, I think it's statistical output. I like the length, even though it's just an inch longer. I'm going to take the corner on the right.
The corner on the right. So my opinion, honestly, I'm going to take the corner on the left. I like the consistency in numbers. I know I'm doing some research because I know who these guys are. I know it's not a totally blind resume for me. But I know statistically it has always been good. He has never had any true holes in his game.
Well, I get that. But what statistic of the screen that you're currently showing me as a blind resume jumps out at you as the guy on the left?
I like the passes defended, his interception numbers down, and I like his ability to tackle. I know he's been a part of other games, but I just get the feeling more experience.
Okay,
to me matters.
I'll definitely give you more experience. He's played almost double the amount of games as the corner on the right. But
proven commodity.
If you give the corner on the right 12 more games, does he have 26 more tackles? Even if he doesn't, that's all he would need is 26 more tackles, and he's had 51 in 15. So I'm guessing he eclipses that tackle mark. He's already eclipsed him at the interception mark, and he's already eclipsed him at the passes defended mark in almost half the games.
That's fair. Like I said, this isn't truly blind for me. It's only blind for you. So, Gabe, when you have the chance, how about give us the picture with the players?
Yeah, actually, before I do it, I just want to echo what Mike said, which is something really important. And you're dead right, Mike. An inch can be a long way. That's for sure, buddy. And there they are. The
players are Andrew Booth Jr. and
Trent McDuffie.
There you go. So still, now that you know who the players are, you can kind of fit the scheme and the play style to the numbers. Does your answer change?
Slightly. I mean, I think the reason I was so high on McDuffie is because he was highly touted all year.
Yes.
Booth is kind of coming out of nowhere a little bit.
Yeah,
Coming out of the woodwork and impressing a lot of people.
he tested better at the combine than I thought a lot of people thought he was going to. You go back and you look at his, like, obviously the turnover numbers for him have been great.
A pick every 3 games is insane.
Is really good. I struggle with Clemson corners because we've been burned twice now by drafting Clemson corners.
Alexander, right?
Was Trey Waynes? Wasn't Trey Waynes Clemson
Trey
guy?
Waynes was Michigan State.
Michigan State. Okay. But Mackenzie Alexander left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know if that's a system thing, but Trent McDuffie to me, and especially based on, and if Derek Stingley is off the board, is a guy that I think fits what the Vikings want to do on defense behind Ed Donatel a little bit better. A guy that, Andrew Booth Jr. is a little bit stiffer in the hips, especially at
the
top of the route.
If
but
Stingley's gone at 12, I want us to take McDuffie.
There you go.
It's just who I want.
And the sentiment for me would be the same. He's a better mirror style corner, both in man and in zone coverage, and his ability to break on the ball can be improved. Like, they think there's still room for him to grow as to where how much more are you going to be able to get out of Andrew Booth Jr., in my opinion. Like, the numbers that he put up seem like his ceiling to me, as to where what you're seeing from Trent McDuffie, especially playing on a team that doesn't have a lot of elite players on defense around him, could be his floor.
I'm not going to disagree with you because it's all speculation, right?
Yeah.
It's basically opinion. There is a way that Trent McDuffie plays that I would be excited to see in purple.
Yes.
But Derek Stingley already looks good in the purple and gold, so
I would agree with you there. So let us know, guys, if it does come down to it and the 2 corners that are left on the board at 12 are Andrew Booth Jr. and Trent McDuffie. Who would you take? We already told you that our pick at number 12 is going to be Derek Stingley Jr. And if you have another option, let us know. We'll get back to you here on social media and we can roll through the rest of our mock draft in rapid fashion. Mike, pick number 13.
Pick number 13 belongs to the Houston Texans, man.
Yeah.
This was a tough one just because they could go so many different routes.
Okay.
They need everything.
Yeah, what do you think the most
Including
glaring
a
hole is
quarterback,
for them?
in my opinion.
Nah, stop it. Dougie Mills, boy.
Davis.
Dougie.
His first name is Davis Mills.
I know, but his nickname's Dougie Mills.
Okay.
Come on, man. We do this every couple of weeks.
I almost think you have to start on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
And maybe a Devin Lloyd, but I'm pretty sure I had him picked already. Maybe a Nakobe Dean from Georgia.
Okay.
Would probably still be on the board at that point in time.
Yeah.
I think you had him taken, but I didn't. So I'm going to say Nakobe Dean.
Oh, we'll get to your Eagles here in a minute, Dylan. I had, and I know because I don't have him off the board yet, this is where I had Kayvon Thibodeau going.
Really?
Yes.
Got him dropping all the way. Wow. Okay.
I didn't have him in the mock last week.
Could he be like this generation's Jadeveon Clowney a little bit almost?
Potentially. He's got all the athletic talent. It's all about what motor he wants to play with.
Well, and that's exactly
at the
what
pro
it is
level.
too. I watched a few Oregon games actually this year,
Yep.
and when he wanted to take over the game,
He did.
But other than that, he's just a guy.
His
It's
ceiling,
interesting as hell.
his ceiling to me is above Hutch's right now at the 1 spot, but his floor is much, much lower when he's
It's like
disengaged.
3rd round, 4th round.
Yes.
Yeah, he's an interesting pick,
And it's all between the ears for him. And at the NFL level, that is what makes the difference for a lot of these guys.
right.
So that would be.
So we both have them going defense. Though.
Yep.
Both
for sure.
in the defense. So
For sure. So that would be our pick at 13. So
14th pick is Baltimore.
Yeah. Looking for a wide receiver again. Sammy Watkins today goes and heads on over to Green Bay.
Ooh.
He'll be hurt after 4 games, or Aaron won't throw him the ball because he drops it all the time. So not worried there.
I'm just not worried about the team to the east at all this year. I think this is where Drake London goes.
Okay, from USC.
From USC. He's a physical receiver. Kind of fits that scheme in my opinion as well.
Yeah.
Having him and Marquise as the speed guy, and then Rashad Bateman, who they drafted.
Kind of as their possession receiver.
Yeah, so you got Bateman and Drake London on the. I would put Marquise in the slot and just have him burn folks. I would go Drake London here.
Okay. I think Drake London's a good pick. I think the only other guy that you might take here, who's that other wide receiver from Ohio State?
There's Garrett Wilson and then Chris Olave.
Garrett Wilson, I think, wouldn't be a bad option here either. I had Olave going in our
Top 10.
top 10 last week. So I think either one of those are solid options for them at the wide receiver position. And I assume getting weapons that you don't have to pay right now is a good option, because you're going to have to pay Lamar Jackson if you're going to keep him, and you got to stay inexpensive at your other positions.
Yeah, and you got to surround the guy who you're going to give a big contract to with weapons.
And maybe let him throw the football.
Yep.
So,
So let's switch over to, let us know, Ravens fans, who you want your team to take at 14.
all right, Dylan, go crazy.
Dylan, it's your time to shine, man. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles picks at 15 and 18. We think that their needs are linebacker, cornerback, and safety.
Ooh, where would you guys draft Lou Sassol?
I don't think that's how you say it. Try it one more time.
Nope, you go ahead.
No. I'm going to pass on that comment. Thanks, Dylan, though.
Sasshole.
I gotcha.
Well, you got to say the first name, though, Gabe, too.
Loose asshole.
Oh my God.
Gabe has one of those.
That's a late night joke.
There we go.
Who would you take if you're Philly at 15?
This is where I could see an Andrew Booth Jr. going at
Okay.
corner. I think it makes a lot of sense for them at 15 to address the cornerback position. I agree that they maybe need a linebacker. I agree that they maybe need a safety as well. I think they spent a lot of time investing in their offense last year. And
Are you convinced by their receiver core, though?
convinced is the wrong word, but I think a second round pick for them makes more sense, or a later round pick for them makes more sense at wide receiver, because the last couple of times that they've tried to do the wide receiver thing in the first round hasn't gone so well.
Devontae Smith worked out all right.
We'll see. That's a guy that is so small that if he went out and blew his ACL or tore an Achilles or broke a leg or an arm or a collarbone in game 2 of next year, I'd be like, I'm not surprised. I thought he was
Doug
undersized.
Flutie
when
was
he came out.
5'7" and is in the Hall of Fame.
He's
okay?
also not playing wide receiver.
Stop coming at the Peking Yellow players. Darren Sproles was amazing. He was like 5'4".
He was also built like a hamster. That guy had some girth on him. Devontae Smith
okay,
is,
so now you're going after the skinny folks.
yeah, like you.
Jeez. All right. Well, I'm actually going to agree with you, believe it or not,
Yeah.
and say Andrew Booth Jr. or the safety from Baylor. I think it's Peter, Jalen Peter.
Yep.
Fits that scheme, in my opinion. Can cover a lot of ground quickly. That Baylor defense was known for their speed. There you go.
We'll see, Dylan. We'll see.
We have Devontae and a bunch of wide receiver 4s. And that's what I was kind of thinking as well with that receiver core. So I wouldn't be super surprised if they use 15 or 18 to surround who they think is the guy in Jalen Hurts with more weapons.
Yeah, but they think he's the guy that can run the
Elevate
foot.
receiver 4s.
Yeah, that can elevate receiver and here's the thing, like I said, history will impact this draft. They have not done well drafting receivers in the first round.
You're not wrong. Well, who do you have them taking at 18? We'll do both of them right now.
At 18, it was a little bit tougher for me. I know we argued over a linebacker last week. I had Jacoby Dean from Georgia going to Washington. Who is the guy that you had him pinned up against?
Well, the other linebacker that is really kind of towards the top of the draft, I am spacing on his name. I'm trying to find it right now.
I'm blanking too, and I don't have my notes with me this week, folks, so I'm a little...
Devin Lloyd from Utah.
Devin Lloyd, I think, would be a good fit here for Philadelphia if he's still on the board at 18.
Okay.
But
I'm not going to
and
disagree with you.
You could flip-flop him.
Um,
Like, if you think Lloyd's the higher commodity, take him at 15 and take Booth at 18. It really doesn't matter to me. I would invest in your defense this year.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if they just went Booth and then Peter at 18.
Yeah.
And just went 2 DBs. They need it. They need to be able to stop that high-powered offense of Dallas in their division. There's not really anybody, like, I think a Quay Walker would be a reach
Yeah.
at that pick. So, yeah, I see them probably drafting DB with both picks.
DB, and then I just think it's going to stay on the defensive side of the ball. Listen, you think Jalen Hurts only needs one guy to throw to because he has a hard enough time hitting any receivers, let alone more than one. So,
Well, hey, I have a great idea for our mobile quarterback.
What?
Let's make him not read defenses at all and just have one receiver on the roster.
There you go.
We'll just have a bunch of receiver 4s after him.
Fantastic.
That was an inside look in the Eagles war room.
Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Malik Willis will be a W. Send Jalen and his noodle arm to the Saints. All right, Dylan. Well,
Sauce and Jordan Davis will for sure be gone by
Yeah.
then. Malik Willis has potential of being gone by then, and I think in my opinion, according to my mock draft, Nakobe Dean also will be gone by then.
Same. I don't think any of those players are going to fall them at 15 and 18.
Well, let's speak to that team that he wanted to trade away his noodle-armed quarterback to, though, huh?
Oh, the New Orleans Aints?
The New Orleans, now currently Drew Breesless, Sean Paytonless. They are
Potentially
Aints.
Alvin Kamara-less Aints.
They have 16 and 19.
Yeah, wide receiver for me. If Drake London might potentially still be on the board. This would make sense. Drake London fits the Marcus Colston, Michael Thomas, large, physical, underneath possession receiver that has the ability to go deep. They kind of have a deeper weapon already. Was it Clayton? Is that who I'm thinking of last year, who was hot in the preseason? So that would make sense for me at 16 at the wide receiver position. And then they got to go get a tackle. So whoever the top exterior offensive lineman on the board is after losing Eric Armstead is who they got to go get.
I believe who would be available, and actually I had him penciled in here at 19, is Tyler Smith from Tulsa.
That would make sense to me. Like I'm outside of the top 10. I'm not super familiar, but whoever the top guy at tackle is, whoever your quarterback's got to be, you got to protect him.
See, and that's why this draft is so interesting, because my 16th pick is probably 30th ranked, but it's filling needs. And that's what majority of teams in the NFL do these days, is they don't just take the best player available. So I actually have Jameson Williams, the receiver from Alabama, going at 16.
Do you think he'll be ready? Is he going to be ready in time for opening week?
The news is that he's ahead of schedule. He tore, for folks who don't know, he tore his ACL in the national championship game.
That wasn't that long ago.
ACL is typically 9 to 12 months, depending on who you are. BCS national championship game was in February. So, I mean, he's looking at a November return if he's lucky.
Okay.
But, I mean, he's got the talent.
Yeah, no, he was the best.
You're investing into a guy for
if
4
he's
years
healthy,
at the
he's the
minimum,
top.
so.
If he's healthy, he's the top receiver off the board this year.
All right. The comment from Gabe, frankly, I think they'd better be better off if they can get their hands on a young, loose asshole, but it's their call. I haven't heard of that prospect. You and Dylan will have to show me his highlight tape after this.
If you're fans of the show, do not go to Google right now and look for that player. I'm just warning you.
I just learned about that. I'd never heard that before.
And Dylan, that definitely responding to Dylan's comment here. Many think the Saints got those 2 picks to package and to move up for a quarterback. That definitely could be the case. We did make a rule for the mock draft: no trades.
Yeah, so there's definitely options.
Even
for
though
them
that's
to do so.
The high likelihood, we're just going to make the picks at the picks that they have.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that they move up? But I also don't think with a temporary head coach that you're going to give him the ability to leverage your draft, like the future of your team in your draft picks when you're already having.
It does seem like the organization as a whole is sitting on their hands and just waiting, because you don't re-sign Jameis if you're going to trade up for a quarterback.
Exactly.
I don't know.
This is going to be a holdover year.
lost.
It's going to be a holdover year for the Saints until they figure out what's going on with Sean Payton.
Well, the rumor is
That he's going to Miami with Brady.
Well, that
We'll
was
see.
the rumor, but
We'll see.
actually the Brian Flores thing stopped that. We'll have to talk about that at a later date. The next pick in the draft is 17th,
Yes,
the
sir.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Interesting, because I feel like they could make or break their playoff run with what they get in the draft this year. Who did you have them taken at 17?
This is another tough one, dude, because I almost want to go against like what people think they should do.
Mhm.
I'm not super impressed with their running game currently.
Is there a running back from Michigan State that you would see going here?
No, actually. There's a running back from Iowa State.
Oh,
Brees Hall.
Gotcha.
I have penciled in here. He fits their scheme because he's a receiving back as well.
yeah.
Los Angeles is basically Buffalo.
Yeah.
Are
right
they
now.
not? Right?
Right
Like,
now.
And a lot of their running game is those short dump passes. So I would personally take Brees Hall. He's almost another Austin Eckler, and Eckler is getting up there. You can kind of just transition that right into another 10 years of solid running back play with a receiving back out of the backfield.
Yes.
I think that's what they need more than anything, even though they need to fill the void at tackle and to fill the void at linebacker.
Everywhere else, they have edge rushers, they have
Part of it is
interior
like-
linemen, safeties, corners, all
In
taken
that
care
AFC, though, you almost just need to add more firepower. You don't need to put up another brick wall as defense.
of. Right.
You need another cannon on top of the wall.
I'm
You
okay.
know what I'm saying?
I'm okay with. I think the Chargers are in a great spot for best player available here. So I'm going to say,
I would agree.
Go ahead and take whoever the best available player is off the board. Now, for Green Bay Packer fans, I know we can't do trades.
Real quick, I'm just going to say best player available, not necessarily, well, let me rephrase that. Not necessarily best player available potentially, but the player who's going to make the most impact
Right now.
year one.
Right now, yeah. And I agree with that sentiment completely. Now, Green Bay Packer fans, I know we can't do trades in this mock draft, but this is a spot that I would look for them to move up in to go get another receiver,
Agreed.
or see them move into, because the Chargers could give the Packers Keenan Allen, who is already rumored to be on the move. You marry this with this pick, and they could get a defender from Green Bay that they need. They could get a lineman from Green Bay that
Green
they
Bay's
need.
defense is extremely expensive as well.
Right. So I think that would make a little bit of sense here, is to see a trade
Like
with
a
Green
Kenny
Bay
Clark or someone like that almost.
at 17.
God, can you imagine that defensive line with Kenny Clark?
There you go. There's your recipe.
Jesus.
So the Chargers are so stacked already.
Yeah,
They got to go
best pick
BPA
available
with ease. Yep. I agree with you, Dylan. All right. So that would be our pick 17. And then we already did 18. We already did 19. At pick 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now, you'll have to remind me. I know I had Willis taken in the top 10.
Yes.
Did I have Pickett gone?
I don't think so.
I have him here.
Okay.
Staying in Pittsburgh. Hometown hero. The Steelers desperately need a quarterback. And if you tell me that Mason Rudolph
Or Mitch Trubisky.
or Mitch Trubisky, like, unfortunately, we have to bring it up again. I think Dwayne Haskins had a very good shot at winning that starting job.
Would you trade the 20th overall pick to the Browns for Baker Mayfield?
To be
Straight
honest,
up.
yeah, probably I would.
I think that's an option here.
Because the Steelers roster around that position is
Works
ready.
really well for Baker.
And well, I'm just saying it's ready to make a playoff push if they just have a competent quarterback.
I think Tomlin's the right guy at head coach for Baker,
One that got
attitude-wise, right? So that's an option here. If they're going to go quarterback, would it surprise me if they went for a guy like Matt Corral? Would it surprise me if they went over it? There's
You
already
think they're going to go Matt Corral over Kenny Pickett in their own backyard, though?
It's a
Dude,
toss
played
up
on
for
the
me.
same field and everything.
It's a toss up for me because I don't know how these NFL teams are evaluating their quarterbacks this year, because there isn't a standout guy. Like, I would love to be able to tell you that it's Willis, Pickett, Corral, Ritter, whoever, right? Like, you just don't know. It's all about, what do we feel we can get out of this
That's why
guy?
it's going to be so exciting on draft night, and you guys are going to have to join us.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a blast.
Otherwise, if you're stuck and you're like, I don't know what to do, I can't get a trade done, I don't want to invest in a quarterback that I don't believe in, I like the prospects coming out next year, take the best offensive lineman available off the board here and bolster what you're going to need for Najee Harris, who's going to be the focal point of your offense. That's my opinion in Pittsburgh.
And get ready to pick a quarterback next year.
Yes, 100%.
All right. With the 21st pick, we transition to Bill Belichick
And the New England Patriots.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Not buying you nothing.
All right. So we think that their needs are at corner and receiver, basically outside weapons.
Yeah, McDuffie here for me makes a lot of sense. I think he's a Bill Belichick style guy at corner.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Not overwhelmingly physically talented, has great technique, hard nose, can play in a multiple end defense.
See, now we've been talking about McDuffie and Booth, and I can't remember. I know I had Booth picked. I need to write this down. 'Cause I
Weird. It's
look
almost
at
like
it-
Mike should take notes.
Yeah, I don't take notes. I don't believe in notes. I didn't take notes in college, and I did fine.
But corner here over wide receiver for me.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think receiver is something you can get later. You know, there's quite a few receivers in the second, third round. Dotson from Penn State.
Yes.
That you can get that can make a somewhat of an impact for that Patriot offense. They've never been something that has really needed or relied on the receiver position.
Correct.
but they need their defense.
Yes.
So I think corner is the pick. I'm going to just say, because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I'm a little mixed up as to where I had my corners going. So I'm just going to say best corner available for Bill and the Patriots.
If the Alabama wide receiver is available, what's his name
Jamison
again?
Williams.
If he is available here at 21, is that a no-brainer pick for them because of the Mac Jones thing? Like, we've seen that in other places now. Tua got Waddle.
Yeah,
Burrow gets Jamar Chase.
Well, and even Devontae Adams getting Derek Carr and having that reunion. I don't think it's a bad pick. I think it's a little bit different of a situation, though, because of Williams' injury.
Yeah.
Like, you almost make that pick because you're ahead of schedule with the camaraderie and the chemistry.
Yes.
They would be behind schedule just because of the injury. I mean, what about like Chris Olave here, though, from Ohio State?
I have both those guys off my board at this point,
Okay.
and I think his injury is going to allow him to slide to the back end of the first round. And if you're not super sold on a corner that's on the board, and you look around the league and you go, all of the college partnerships at quarterback and wide receiver have worked to this point. Like, Tua looked way better with Waddle than without him. Burrow looked way more comfortable in the pocket with Jamar Chase.
There is a
than when
corner
he
we're
did it.
forgetting, though, is Kyer Aleem from Florida. So he could go
Also
here
available.
and actually fit really well. He's one of the taller, longer corners in the draft. That would be kind of a nice fit.
I just think
I'm almost going to go with that. That's what I predict happening. Is
actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with the wide receiver here. Here's why.
Jameson?
Yeah, because Bill Belichick is such a better evaluator of talent on the defensive side of the football that he might be able to get better value in rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 from a defensive player when he has not been able to produce that kind of explosive weaponry through the draft at the wide receiver position. And if there's a no-brainer guy with chemistry that you have for your quarterback, you have to take him.
Well, that, and let's not forget that Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are basically best friends.
They're like this.
And the advantage that Bill has going into the draft with Alabama players cannot be overlooked.
100%.
So especially with an Alabama player who's been injured, still on campus.
He's going to know so much more about him than anybody else.
Right. So I wouldn't be that. I'm surprised with the energy that we walked into the studio with. I've actually been agreeing with you quite often today.
Weird. It's weird. It's because it's late. Mike's not grumpy because he wakes up late and then rolls into the studio.
Well, that and you've had time to,
food.
think out your terrible thoughts. Oh, come on, Gabe.
All right, so that's pick 21, and then we got to take the trash out before the end of the show here tonight with the Green Bay Packers. If they stick at 22,
so did all of the graphics have like wings, or is that just like
that's just this picture?
Ugh.
Yeah,
I didn't know that logo could get worse.
It
somehow
anyway,
it
you know what's funny?
Now it's a flying turd.
You know what's funny? Green Bay's logo, the way it is as good as it's going to look. Anything you add to it makes it look worse.
Yeah, it's just trash. It's literally waste management colors.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So needs wide receiver, offensive line, edge. Trying to replace the Smith duo that they had a couple of years ago. Za'Darius is now in purple and gold. They also have a lot of needs kind of everywhere.
Man,
they have a couple stars. They got Kenny Clark.
Their corners
not
aren't
sold
awful.
on their linebacking core. Their corners, they have one good corner. Adrian Amos is decent, but they have so many holes. David Bakhtiari's 33, I think, getting older.
Yeah.
They don't have a receiver, and if you tell me Sammy Watkins is going to be good for them, I'm going to laugh you out of the room.
It's got to be a receiver here, right? You just paid Aaron all that money after all of this stink about weapons, and then Adams leaves. I actually don't think the Packers are making the pick here. I think Aaron Rodgers is getting whatever he wants in the first round of this draft.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, they need to bolster the defense. So,
but Aaron's not that unselfish to let that happen, and you know that.
What about somebody who's supposed to be a top 10 pick though on the defensive side of the ball who's been hurt or got hurt recently and slid down the board?
Who are you referring to?
That's going to be the edge rusher from Michigan, David Ojabo. I think he fits in well. He's a 3-4 outside edge rusher.
Yeah.
Fits into that scheme.
That's a blown Achilles though, man. That's a year before you're going to see him play again.
Is it that long though?
It is. an Achilles is so much different than an ACL.
Whoop. Sorry,
Wow.
folks. I was just checking to see what the recovery time on that is.
I mean, you're looking 9 to 12 months on a blown Achilles.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a major ligament that goes all the
Well,
way
I
up.
understand what the Achilles is, okay?
Are you sure? You're acting like he scraped his knee.
I mean, dude, I tore mine, but it wasn't a full tear. So I actually played on it.
Yeah, no, don't do
It was painful, but yeah, I mean, it's just a weird pick. They could go pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm honestly just going to keep this one as like non-applicable in my mock draft just because they could trade out of it. They could go defense. They could go receiver. But here's the reason why I'm away from receiver.
Mhm.
I think all of the top end receiver talent is gone by here.
Yeah.
And you're looking at a mid-second round to almost a third-round talent in the top 22 picks. I just don't see them shooting themselves in the foot like
That's why I think a trade is extremely likely for
Yeah.
them. But the issue there is they're going to have to, because they don't have a ton of cap space. They don't have a ton of other draft collateral. And the players that they have are the players that they need to win games. What they're going to have to, the Packers are in an, like going into last year, we had certain thoughts about where the Saints were because of how they've operated. Like eventually it comes and bites you in the ass. It's coming for the Packers and it's coming quick. So unless you can find a trade suitor for a guy like Jordan Love, or you're looking to move up to get a receiver and you're willing to give up like a fringe starter that they might need, they are in a lose-lose situation in this year's draft because it's not like you can trade out into adding value for next year because then you lose another year of the very tail end of Aaron Rodgers' prime.
Aaron's not going to win him another Super Bowl. I made that very clear a couple weeks ago. But unfortunately, the other thing that is catching up to us quick is our time limit for the day. So I want to first of all thank everybody who joined us at a different time. It was great to come to you live in the evening.
Yeah. And we will be coming to you live in the evening in 2 weeks at 7:00 right here on NBC Multicast Studios and on our page. Let me get this correct. We always send you guys over to Notoriety Sports for the draft watch along to enter to win the things that we are giving away, to be able to be a part of any of the games that we are going to play. We have some things in the works that you're also going to want to be around for. Go to Facebook at Glass Half Sports and click on the live chat. We will be going live with you at 7, and we will be with you pretty much all the way through the first round 2 weeks from now. Extremely excited to be with you guys in a tad bit more casual scenario. NFL season is big.
We're
for
probably
us.
going to have food here.
Yeah,
Like,
we're going to
I'm
have
just gonna be
food.
honest
We're
with
going to be, having drinks. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a whole lot more time to get to your guys' comments as you interact with us on how you feel about the picks that your team should or should not be making and who the players that they got, any trades that might be going on. It's going to be a good time. Do not miss it. That will be when, Mike?
That will be Thursday, April 28th at 7 p.m.
That's right. As always, so thankful for everybody that watched us, like Mike said, at our different time. Mike, where can they find us if they would like to rewatch this amazing sports show?
Yeah, if you are a sports fan with sports friends, make sure to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also check us out on cable. We'll be on MCN 6 Saturdays at 10 p.m.
Yeah, because I don't know how to control my language. Not my fault. I'm a veteran. As always, folks, I know it's snowing out there, so please stay warm, stay safe, and take care.
Little late, guys. Sorry.
Little white guys. What the hell, Gabe?
Little late, I said. Little late. I was a little late on there.
Ready?
So, would you draft Lou Sasshole or some young guy?
Some young guy.
Some young guy.
Only if he's got his cream.
If he forgets it on the
Dumbest show
plane,
of all time, folks.
one
Dumbest
of
show
our
of all
better
time.
ones, in my opinion.
Strike the strength. NBC. No relation to NBC.